Talks yet again here on Dash Radio on Dash Talk. Let's make sure that we do some logistics just to start off because we're going to have a fire show today. We're doing Lavar Ball and Black Fatherhood today. There's been so much in the media over the last few months, but particularly over the last 2 weeks about Lavar Ball. So everybody, you can go to Tonetalks on YouTube to get the stream, or you can get it on Dash Radio app, press the Dash Talk button, and we're going to have a fire discussion. I'm going to have a special guest in the studio today. You know him, you love him, Zoe Williams. The reason I'm having him in isn't so much to be a host. I want you to see him as an expert of sorts because his son, New, you can look him up, New Williams, I believe, was a 4 to 5 star recruit. And Zoe went through the whole process of being that type of father that shows up at the practice and everything like that. So I just want him to speak on what it took to actually make this kid who he was and what he was. Now, again, just for logistic purposes, make sure you use the chat because we opening a dialogue. We having a discussion back and forth about Black Fatherhood, about Lavar Ball, about how America is taking Lavar Ball. We're going to talk a little bit about what went on in Houston today. For those people that don't know, the owner called the players inmates at the meeting, and players walked out at the Houston Texans of the NFL. We're going to talk about Lavar Ball's business. Triple B, no shoes. I was very critical of Lavar Ball and the shoes, and I stay that way. I believe it's a microloan with no product. Don't get me wrong, I see the sandals and the shirts, but this was about tennis shoes, and I still ain't seen them. We're going to talk a lot about a lot of different things. I want you guys to get the call-in number, 323-879-4445, because I'm going to be adding you into the discussion to give your opinion, give you a chance to speak on Lavar Ball, to speak on Black Fatherhood. And don't feel like you're constrained to talk about Lavar Ball. Talk about your own experiences. And mothers, you can call in too. So let me go through some of the questions for today. And again, the title of the show is Lavar Ball and the Ways America Limits Black Fathers. So the first question is Lavar Ball too involved in his teenage son's life? Nobody says anything when Archie Manning shows up on the field. This is a teenager. We forget that. We keep thinking of them as grown people. But literally, Lavar Ball was making pancakes a year ago, and now he's supposed to stop? This is my boy. Number 2, is there a difference between Lavar Ball, Peyton Manning's dad, Archie, Serena Williams' father, or LeBron James' mother? It's funny because I when I was a law school student, I ended up going to IMG. IMG represented Eli Manning at the time and Peyton Manning. Tom Condon was the agent, and Archie was there. It was instrumental in getting Eli out of that San Diego deal to the New York Giants. But we didn't see him the same way. And some people will say he wasn't in the media. Well, it's a different era too. There was no social media. But we gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk. Is there a difference between a mother and a father, a white dad and a black dad? Lavar Ball is bringing that ball to the discussion. The next question is the black deadbeat father more myth than reality? I want the mothers to call in. I want y'all to give me your stories. Tell me the truth, both good and bad. And the fathers, you can call in too. So I want to hear, is the deadbeat dad more myth or reality? Number 4, are white reporters attacking Lavar Ball in a way they would not attack a black mother? We see Michelle Beadle come out and she made her statements. We'll cover that in a second. She got a lot to say about separating Lavar Ball out. It's not about you. It's not your career. But again, it's my son. He a teenager. Next question. Is black fatherhood going extinct or just not publicized? So often we hear about black fathers not being, good dads. I'm going to give y'all some data from Ebony that refutes that. I understand everybody has personal experiences, but we got to stop with the generalizations because we can find bad mothers bad fathers of all races. But somehow that myth has stuck to black men like flypaper. The next question is, should black fathers take the lead in raising black sons? I was watching Fences. That's what made me think of that. Because it was so interesting. I done seen the movie 3 times now. It was one of the best movies I've ever seen about black life. And in the movie, it's real low key, but if you notice, she deferred to him raising that son. And then he deferred to her raising his daughter. It's kind of undertone about it all. Maybe we need a little bit of that back today. I'm going to ask y'all to give me your opinions on that. Next question is, did Bill Cosby, and I'm going to bring Cosby into this because he was the epitome of the black father for over 20 years. Did Bill Cosby damage black fatherhood by doing the Cosby Show, then allowing himself to be charged with rape by multiple women? I ain't got no opinion on that. I just want to hear from y'all. I want to see what y'all got to say about Bill Cosby, the Mr. Pound Cake. You know, I got nothing to say. I'm just gonna listen to y'all and bounce off of y'all. The last question is probably the most looming, which is the creation of $1 million athlete an individual or a family wealth building event? We got Kobe Bryant with a letter where he says, I don't want to give nobody no money. But he forgets that without Bean, you would have never got to the ABCD Adidas camp. We got to ask this question of, is that career ours or yours? And, you know, that's going to be, you know, everybody has an opinion. Everybody has a piece in this fight, but I'm going to let y'all bounce off of each other. But I'm going to go back to this first question. Is LaVar Ball too involved in his teenage son's life? Before I go back, again, go to the Dash Radio app, press Dash Talk, join in the discussion on YouTube. We gonna keep it bouncing here. Make sure that you call in, because I need you callers. 323-879-4445. I believe I have a caller on the line. I'm gonna bring him in right now. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Scotty from Columbus, Ohio.
Okay. I'm glad you called in from Ohio today. Give me a little piece of your information here.
Okay, so you guys forgive me. I'm a millennial. I do not have any children, so my thoughts on this are kind of a little bit different from the subject. But me, I'm not. My opinion on LaVar Ball is that he kind of gives off the vibe that he is like one of these parents who kind of lives vicariously through their kids, especially like when it comes to athletics. Like you hear a lot of these stories, like Pete Maravich's dad regimen, and it becomes to a point where LaVar Ball, you hear these stories about how he operated in Chino Hills. He ended up getting the coach fired there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, he ended up getting the coach fired there. He took his son out of the school because he had problems with the current coach. And I think the problem is that there's a lot of black men who look to LaVar Ball and they see this finally a representation of a black father being strong about taking care of.
I think there might be something on your phone line that's making it click. I appreciate you calling in. Caller. I'm going to bounce off of that a little bit, and I'm going to tell you what my opinion is that in some ways we don't understand how to separate him as a black father and him as a businessman. We got Zoe Williams just appeared like a genie.
Man, hey, you know, trying to support them.
I want y'all to understand Zoe's here as a guest, an expert of sorts. I told them a little background about you. They know already about Nu.
Do they?
Somebody said, was that him with that windmill?
Yes, that's him.
Okay. And so, like, nonetheless, what I want to make sure everybody understands is I did 2 videos on LaVar, and I still hold by it that Here's a guy that's asking for a micro loan on a shoe business that ain't got no shoes. And so like what we have as a problem is that he don't have no refunds. You ain't never tried the shoes on, and they $500. In an era when the middle black family without the family car is worth maybe $2,000, it's worth $4,000 without the car. But if you take away the couch and the TV, we down to about $2,500, $2,300, something small.
Damn.
And so your son is a millionaire. Why are you asking people to invest in you and give you and basically donate? Because I believe it's more of a donation than anything else. But it can be considered a micro loan if they're struggling the way they are. And I think that separating that out, I do still respect him as a father being there. Because I seen him make pancakes and it looked like he could make the hell out of a pancake. No, he made about 30 pancakes for these big sons. Because he took care of, you got to understand, sometimes with a father like that, I saw him taking care of like a couple kids.
Right.
And like, Zoe, you can speak on this. I mean, there's a lot of times where other young men don't have a role model, and then you there with new, and you ain't gonna be selfish and be like, I'm just new daddy.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And so like, you end up giving and imparting advice on these young men. And I think that what's happening is we're allowing people to say that he's too involved in a way that we never allow it to be said about a black mother, say LeBron James' mother, or for that matter, a white father like Archie.
Archie Bunker.
Archie Manning.
Archie Manning.
Archie Manning was there.
He was there at every turn. Behind the
Not
scenes.
that play. Hold up. He ain't shooting no Hail. He ain't doing no Hail Mary.
No.
That's an interception.
Right. No, we're not going to the San Diego Chargers.
I was at IMG. I was with Tom Condon.
We're not finna do that.
I was in Kansas City for a month when Eli Manning was signing with IMG. That was his agent, Tom Condon. All I'm saying to you is that we got to get to a point where we look at this thing and we say to ourselves, black fathers have every right to be parents of teenagers as everyone else. Do you ever feel, Zoe, that you were limited by, say, somebody like Bruce Pearl in terms of being a father? Because, I mean, you got the story where you show up with the crocodile suit, right?
Was it a crocodile suit?
I'm sorry,
I thought
dude.
it was Italian cashmere.
Ooh.
Hey.
You showed up, no, but for real, you showed up as a father, and what ended up happening is you were seen as an adversary, at least in my view, versus being seen as a companion or somebody that's supportive. And I just feel like they want our sons, but they don't want our families.
No. They don't want our fathers in general. I think it's our fathers more so than our families. They prefer, the recruiters, the coaches, they prefer dealing with single black mothers because the single black mother is a little bit more pliable in terms of getting the child or the boy to capitulate. Because you got to remember, when you're talking about black male youth is villainized as children. So, that report that came out that said most police officers see young black men as older and more mature than they really are, or than the kids that are equal age. So if you see a 12-year-old black kid and a 12-year-old white boy, you're going to see that 12-year-old white boy as a 12-year-old white boy. You might see that 12-year-old black kid as a 20-year-old black man. You see what I'm saying? So black masculinity is attacked at a very early age. And I think the problem when it comes down to this recruiting is that they're not only recruiting a top-notch athlete, they're recruiting somebody who could be seen as someone who would bend the knee in favor of the system. You understand? And mothers tend to, you better do what you need to do so you could get to the NBA. Or so you can get to, you better, whereas a father would be like, and a father's impact in the home, especially from day one, you're gonna raise a different kind of young man. You understand what I'm saying? You're gonna raise a different type of person. And I think that person sometimes is not really congruent with what they're looking for, with what they're recruiting.
I understand, especially when you raise somebody that's a young lion.
Well, my kid is a young lion. He's a leader. Bruce Pearl initially was like, yo, this guy's a leader. He doesn't drink. He doesn't smoke. He doesn't do anything like that. But Pearl was like, I want to make sure that he leads the team where I want him to lead the team. I said, well, where else would he lead him?
To the West Coast.
Let's
take a caller.
Where else is he gonna take him?
So let's get caller. What's your name and where you calling from?
Maria from Seattle again.
Okay, thank you for calling back. That tells me that I got a return guest.
Yeah,
that's like when you sell good sweaters and they got all the binding and everything.
Yes.
Maria, give me your take on everything.
Well, I mean, I watch ESPN a lot, really, because of Lavar. I had never watched it before. I wasn't interested in basketball. The only sport I really was interested in was tennis, but that's like fading. And then I watched your video on how you think Lavar little tennis shoe thing is a microloan and basically exploiting black people. I think a vet said that. And then I started thinking about it, and it kind of seems like he's exploiting Lonzo a little bit.
Well, let me ask you this question. You know, Michelle Beadle from ESPN. I'm gonna let you get the first crack at this. You know who I'm talking about. She actually said something about LeVar Ball. I'm gonna read it, and I want you to give me your opinion. She said when he has his own post-game press conference on SportsCenter, it is 1,000% about his father. Speaking about Lonzo, his father can't get out of his own way. Let the kid have his career. Go away. Your shoes are garbage. Your logo's garbage. You're garbage. Let the kid play. So, I mean, what do you think about that?
I don't know what to think about it because we live in a capitalist society. We're getting exploited left and right. If it isn't from the job you work out and having a crappy boss, is it, everything's about money. Like, you have to wake up thinking about money. Like, to die, you have to have, like, money to do the insurance. Like, it's sick stuff. So, like, for LeVar to be like, no, I'm going to build my own brand off my sons, I think is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But all the exposure he's giving them, which, if I were their age, I would think that'd be detrimental to their development socially and intellectually. But at the same time, we live in a social media age, and, like, it's hard for me to think he's exploiting them because we are all getting exploited. I just think people are asleep to it because, we're told that there's equal opportunity everywhere, or, like, your boss won't fire you because of biases, or,
this is the thing, though. This is the thing. The shoe is $500. So this is my issue. This is my issue. It's $500. We ain't never tried it on. It's $700 for the 14, and also you can't turn it back, and you get it on Thanksgiving. And so, like, understand, if that shoe messes your feet up, you got to go find LeVar Ball to sue him. Understand?
And you can't do that. Yeah.
So like, in so many ways, I think what we see also is that black people just want to see some business, so they're willing to be part of any business. And so I separate out LeVar Ball as a father versus LeVar Ball being to me, he's like black people's Donald Trump. Like Donald Trump is everything that white people deserve. LeVar Ball is everything you deserve for following Puffy and Jay-Z right down this yellow brick road.
No, that's true. That's true.
Because like all he's doing is he's taking the model that LeBron and Kobe and everybody has used and just saying these black people, they'd buy anything. So I'm just gonna make it 500. I ain't gonna do no test group. I don't care what color. I got black. Hey, LeVar, do you have red or blue? No, I got black in size 10.
Right, but I think you're right in terms of it's two separate conversations.
Yes.
There's the business conversation, and then there's the fatherhood conversation. As a father, I think the guy is revolutionary because you have to understand the nature of recruiting. You have to understand the nature of the NBA, the exploitation of it, because the way I tell my son this all the time. The NBA, the NFL, and all of these, professional sports leagues are extensions of the entertainment industry. And I tell him, you have to understand that they're not going to let anybody that they feel is strong-willed, intelligent, articulate, outspoken, standing for something. That's not what
this is about.
They're not in that business.
That's why when we come back after break, we're going to get into the Houston Texans because I feel like it's an extension of that.
Yeah.
Caller, thank you so much for calling in. We're going to go to break for a second. We'll be right back. Thank you so much. So, Zoe, you were in the middle of a point, but I want you to bounce something inside of your point as well. Is there a difference between LeVar Ball, Peyton Manning's dad, Serena Williams' father, and LeBron's mom?
Well, I would just say race and gender.
Mm-hmm.
You know, black men who stand up, who speak out, are usually reviled until they're useless. And you know, when I say useless, I mean Muhammad Ali didn't become, you know, beloved by everybody until he was no longer able to speak. When he can't talk no more now, it's, oh, he's a great soul and he's beautiful and this. But when he was talking and pulling your whole card.
Put him next to Reagan when he can't talk. Right?
Now when he can't talk, you got him sitting next to Reagan, Ronald Reagan.
Let's take a caller and see where they at. Caller, what is your name and where you calling from?
This is Akbar out of Chicago.
Hey, Chi-Town. Go on and give me your piece on this.
Well, fathers. I'm an individual who didn't know his father. Mm-hmm. Okay? And believe me, I have learned the hard way the value of a father and not having one. And an enemy always wants to eliminate the threat, which is the man. This society does not want strong black men. And we have to understand that. That's why they didn't like Mr. Williams, and that's why they don't like Mr. Ball. It's simply because these are strong images.
Yeah, I totally understand where you're coming from.
No, he got a good point.
Thank you so much for calling in.
But that reminds me of the recruiting process.
Mm-hmm.
The recruiters would tell me, they would say, who's the point person in the household?
The point person.
They said, who should we talk to?
Who sells the cogs?
And I explained to my son's mother, I said, this is us. This is us, and it's going to go through me. And she was like, cool, handle that. But they wanted to see who had the power. And when I talked to other coaches and other guys that were being recruited, they were telling me, those coaches was like, nah, man, they'd rather talk to your son's mom because they feel like they can get further with her than they can get with you. This is why I say, as a father, Lavar is revolutionary because he told UCLA what they was going to do.
Understand this, though. What's a trip about your point? I was reading this great article about CTE. So all these moms was pulling their kids out of football because of CTE. You know, that's going to lead me right to the Houston Texans. And essentially what ended up happening is the commissioner, Goodell, calls a meeting and he wants the moms to come in.
Look at that.
And by the end of the meeting, the moms come out skipping.
We're going to keep playing football, guys.
Yes, we are. And so, like, essentially what ends up happening is they don't want that logical mind. And I'm not saying that women aren't logical. I just think that there's a nurturing versus there's a nurturing versus there's a mentoring. And
or the female mind might be looking for security.
Yeah.
That you can become a millionaire here. Whereas the father might be saying, yeah, he could become a millionaire, but he going to be an invalid in 5 years if he's not careful.
Who you sound like?
Yeah.
You sound like Denzel Washington in Fences. You ain't going to play no football. But I'm saying, though, let's be real. Let's be real that Denzel Washington was revolutionary. I mean, that character. Because he wasn't lying.
Right.
We hear now where even when you get to the league, you look over at the Houston Texans. For those people that haven't been in the news, the owner of the Texans called them inmates during a private meeting. And it came out on ESPN because they had a reporter in the midst. And so, like, essentially 10 Houston Texans walked out today. What I want to do before I go to another caller is I want to pull up the Tommy Curry a section from our discussion maybe 2 weeks back. And Tommy Curry, he laid it on us. And I just want to bounce off of that to give you my opinion on this whole Houston Texans thing. Right. Can we play that real quick? Can in the NFL, or for that matter, the NBA, any of them survive?
Well, that goes away, certainly not. But I like to amend what Wise said. I mean, I think, and again, you've had lots of black scholars write on this. I think the attraction of sports is that it recreates the master-slave condition because black people, especially black men, have long been considered owned by managers, by sports teams, right? So this appeals. So, you know, I mean, I've heard Wise speak before. I understand where he's coming from. But there's a different aspect here. There's the reimagination. There's the re-envisioning of ownership that white America loves with that. And I would argue that this is why white America is claiming that they're offended by the protest. They're not offended by the protest because it disrespects the flag. White people disrespect the flag all the time. The issue is black men in these fields, in the NFL, in the NBA, are demonstrating that they are conscious and self-aware beings. And this is a point people don't like to talk about this. But this is a point that Eldridge Cleaver made in Soul on Ice. He said that as long as black Americans allowed their bodies to be beat up in athletics, white America would love them. But if black people, if black men started allowing themselves to be thinking things, then they would be detested and called evil by the very land that by the very
rescue is so that's Dr. Tommy Curry. You can pick up his book, Man Not, professor in Texas.
I love that dude.
Oh man,
he slaps you right upside the dome piece,
and you don't realize it till tomorrow that you got slapped.
Right, you got hand marks.
So you know, when I look at what he said about being autonomous, I look over at what's going on with Lavar Ball. I look at the Houston Texans, and I start to wonder: can football and basketball last if black men start realizing they black again that play those sports?
Let me explain something to you. I had a recruiter tell me, he said, Zoe, there's 700 7-footers in China right now. There's 700 7-footers in China. He said the NBA is making a move towards international players. And the reason why is because a lot of times the players from America, in particular, the brothers, come with drama. They come from the inner city. They get contracts. They come with entourages. They come with baby mamas. They come with issues. So a lot of times,
it sounds like you say they come from slaves and come from being black in America.
Exactly. Right? So the league started in the late 90s, early 2000s, started to change NBA policy. We're going to change the dress code because Allen Iverson became an icon with the cornrows and the baggy clothes and the jewelry. We're going to change that.
Wait, but pause for a second with what they do, though. Mm-hmm. They take Yasiel Puig, who can't speak no English, and they play Kanye West before you show him. So then it feels like, oh, he's black too.
Right.
He's something we understand.
Right.
But you got Yasiel Puig speaking afterwards. Then you had the white people actually speaking in English.
Right. Look at that. This is it's crazy the way it's set up. But like they said, well, you say if it's going to exist, in a minute, it's going to be hard for African American players because again, you have to fit into this system. The way they got it set up is, and I had Adrian, I think his name is Adrian Ross. He was on my show, ex-NFL football player for the Bengals. And he says, Zoe, the kid has all of the value, not the college. It's the kid that got the value. But the way they sell the kid, they sell you on the university. They sell you on the coach. They making you feel like they're more important and you need them. But it's the other way around. It really is. And Lavar Ball has elucidated that point.
Yeah, and that's interesting. I want to come to another caller and see what we got out there. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Wayne. I'm calling from Akron, Ohio.
Okay. You out there with LeBron James.
Of course. I found out about you through your vet, and you impressed me with your knowledge and understanding of what's going on out here. And what I wanted to add to it was something that you displayed through the graphics that you do with the wealth inequality is also just in general society, if you look at how black males get treated and dismissed from an early age, I just think from a sports side, you're just seeing it at a higher level that you might not think it should be at, but it seems to me that it's just the same thing that's happening just to wealthier black men.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting, though, is that the NBA is starting to be a league of light-skinned people. You know, we saw last year that you couldn't be in the dunk contest or the three-point contest if you wasn't light-skinned. You was going to lose. They had, LeBron didn't want no part in Devin. They had Devin Booker, what's your boy, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry. Them was the three-point shooters. Then they had, what's the boy from...
But they can shoot.
What's the boy from Orlando Magic?
Gordon.
Gordon. And then they had Levine.
Zach Levine. Those are monsters, though.
Jesus. Can I get it?
Those boys is monsters. That's the variable.
Ain't no chocolate in this? It's all latte?
Oh, that one kid from Orlando, he a guard, but he vicious, too. Little dark-skinned guy.
I'm just saying. So, like, you know, it's a trip because, you know, we're starting to see a break point where black people are being shut out. And we have to wonder whether the important part of that was in shutting out black fathers. Mm-hmm. You know, caller, I want to ask you a question. What do you think about what happened today with the Houston Texans?
I just found out about it from listening to you, so I haven't been able to research it. But from having experience with having a relative who went to a major school, what she explained to me was pretty much that's how they look at those guys on the collegiate level. Like they're just pretty much, you know, a product. So when the product starts, you know, resisting what the owner wants it to do, you know, they're going to let you know. Like, hey, we'll pull your scholarship if you don't act right. So what I see that is that owner's just showing you, hey, we own these black dudes at every level. So what are they going to do? You either going to walk out, lose your contract.
We're doing you a favor.
Then you just lost your income.
Right.
See, and that's what's so interesting is, like, I think for a long time we thought that this was a platform that it isn't. You know, Ali was in part, I said this before 2 shows back, Ali was not part of a league. And he didn't sell no boxing gloves. So we got people who really are kneeing and don't even understand. When you look at this thing, the ironic thing is that no player I've seen yet has made the connection that He just called you an inmate, and Kaepernick kneeled because we have too many black male inmates.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
This should be the end of it. You know, really, this should be like they wondering what's gonna happen on Sunday, and everybody kind of like needs this to exist. But this should be like the foreshadow that maybe this ain't gonna like work no more. Maybe we got a dysfunctional relationship, as Zoe would call it on his other shows. You know,
it's real.
You know what I'm saying? And Zoe, let me ask you this, because you had to come to grips with that with Auburn before the scandal.
Yeah,
that it was a dysfunctional relationship.
Yeah, I listen. I know how they treat you when they want you, and I know how they treat you when they don't want you. And my son has skill. I mean, he's got a lot to learn, but he has skill. And if he was given the opportunity that they promised him, see, this is what they do. I always say, NCAA, particularly basketball, and I don't know the football side of it, but I'm sure it's even worse. I always say the NCAA recruiter is no different than a politician. Politicians tell their constituents exactly what they want them to hear. They get into office and then they ignore them. Well, the recruiters do the same thing. You know, they told my son, oh, we're going to develop you. But after he signs his national letter of intent, I find out that they don't develop at that level. You mean you don't know this, Bruce Pearl? Of course you know this. Mm-hmm. But you just wanted to be able to say, oh, I recruited the only West Coast 4-star guard to the SEC. Now, I can use that as a chip to get more recruiter or more talent in next year. Because what they do is they get your kid based off of the hype on his name, then they use the hype and the synergy of who he is to bring in more kids.
You know, what's funny about LeVar Ball and ownership is I was watching this special on ESPN about the Big East. The Big East wasn't anything. It's a conference in the NCAA. Mm-hmm. Literally, Patrick Ewing made the Big East. But you think getting any residuals? No. And that's what LeVar Ball is kind of bringing to the forefront of this whole discussion. Should black people be getting a piece of the pie that goes beyond being on the court?
That's why, whether his business model is sound or not, I want him to keep doing whatever the hell he's doing. And I'll tell you why. Donald Trump got a chance to just trick off hundreds of millions of dollars and bankrupt 7, 8, 9, 10 businesses. And because he's white and he has white generational wealth, he can keep making those kind of mistakes. For me, let LeVar Ball do that too.
My problem with it is that you got a lot of black people that's going to lose their house trying
over
to give,
some shoes.
Trying to give LeVar Ball
$500.
Man, they showed LeVar Ball
I agree.
walking through his house today. I mean, ESPN, this man has money. You don't need to donate to him no more. I'm going to go to break right now, and we'll be right back. Call in at 323-879-4445. Press the Dash Radio button, Dash Talk. We're going to keep this discussion going.
Get on. Beats by Neds.
Hey, y'all, this is Antonio. I'm back. Tone Talks is in the building. Dash Radio. Press the Dash Talk app. If you're not hearing the sound, please just go to the Dash Radio app, press Dash Talk, and you can still hear us and watch us.
Yeah.
I wanted Zoe to show us a picture because I'm going to bring it in with one of the questions that I brought up earlier. But he's going to show a picture of him and his son. You know, Zoe's been there with his son. That's cool, Zoe.
Can you see it?
We got it.
All right.
So essentially the question is the black deadbeat father myth or reality?
Wow.
And in so many instances, what we have is people just making up the story. So what I did is I went on the internet, found me a good article
Okay.
on ebony.com,
Here we go.
Beyond the Myth of the Black Deadbeat Dad. And I wanted to share with you a bit of a section from this article. And it says, according to the Pew Research Center, 67% of black fathers living apart from their children saw them monthly or more, compared with 59% of whites and 32% of Hispanics. That don't sound too
uninvolved, too deadbeatish.
Let me give you another one. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in 2013 said that 70% of black dads were likely to have bathed, dressed, diapered, or helped toilet train their children every day, compared with 60% of white dads and 45% of Hispanic fathers.
Wow.
That slaps deadbeat dad to the ground from my perspective, at least the black deadbeat dad.
Right.
What's your thoughts on that, Zoe?
Listen, man, I know stats can be skewed a lot of different ways, but the reality of it is, it seems like America and the American media overall has a bias against black male success in any way, in any shape or form. We don't want to deal with you guys when we're recruiting your kids to be our modern day Coliseum gladiators. We rather deal with the mamas, right? Because we're doing you guys a favor. We're making y'all millionaires. We'd rather deal with the mamas. We don't want to see dads or black dads in the light of being supportive, strong, educating. We don't want to see none of that. What we want to see is the guy the police is chasing on cops. That's what we want to see in every aspect of life. I mean, look at black movies right now. When was the last time we had a Boomerang? Right? Yeah. But we get a gang of movies where the black man is beating up the black woman. You understand what I'm saying? There's a narrative that's being put out right now that black men are somehow savages. We're not. And I'm going to tell you right now, I know for a fact, when I step on campus, they automatically know I got to talk to Mr. Williams. Mr. Williams is here to talk about his son, or Mr. Williams is here to talk about his daughter. There's respect there off tops. So I just think it's a travesty that black men get a rap in every walk of life here in America.
Can we bring a caller in? Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from? Let's do the other call.
Yeah, you could tell they got Boost Mobile.
Yeah, they got that clink clink. You remember that the chirp?
Clink clink.
Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Is it me, you guys?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, it's Leroy calling from Miami again. I've called in before. I just wanted to address the questions that you were asking earlier, and when you brought up Bill Cosby, I wanted to say the rape allegation.
Which question? Which question are we talking about? Let's get specific.
Bill Cosby and how the rape charges might have, hindered the way we see black fathers because of the Cosby Show. And I would like to say that I think that that's a problem, but I think what's even worse is when Bill Cosby went on his pound cake speech, that he allowed himself to be the rhetorical cover for white racists and white supremacists. So you have the image of the black father regurgitating borderline white supremacist talking points about black youth, black male youth on top of that. And what it did was turn off a lot of guys that are my age. So I'm 31, but at the time I think I was like 26 or whatever. And it turned us off because here you have what essentially is black America's father figure, and he's regurgitating some of the ideas
Some of their
white
talking
supremacy.
points.
But
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So the reason it turned us off is because it's like, oh, so in other words, and I think black people have to really work on this, is like when we're criticizing each other, not to sound, we really need to work on not sounding like white racists, which I find we do a lot when we criticize each other. We start sounding like white racists towards each other. And I wonder if it's because, do we want black empowerment, black freedom, or do we want black people to essentially be white people in blackface?
No,
and I wonder if Bill Cosby wanted that.
Thank you so much for calling in. I feel like your point is powerful and needed. For those people that aren't clear on what the pound cake speech was, Bill Cosby essentially went on a whole tirade of black men need to pull their pants up and respectability politics, and that's why black people are failing. And none of it is actually true by the data. You know, what we see is that black people have higher savings rates than white people and when you normalize for income. What we see is that black people largely are being oppressed in cities across this nation. What we see is that black people pay ticket fines in cities all across this nation, much higher rates than white folks.
Yeah.
And so, like, none of it was true. And I think that what we see is that the ultimate black father kind of had a cracked image, as we saw on the cover of Ebony magazine about a year and a half ago. And I just have to say, I wonder how it played a role on this whole thing of black fatherhood. And you know, what I want to ask Zoe is, do you think black fatherhood is going extinct or just not publicized?
I would say quality black fatherhood, right? Images of good black fatherhood is rare. You can see all types of bad examples, and it seems like the bad examples have the best PR firm, right? Take, for instance, when that riot was happening a couple of years ago, and the woman went out and got her kid and beat his ass on camera. She was on a whirlwind tour. She was on The View. She was on The Talk. She was all over the place for being a great mother. But if the shoe was on the other foot and it was a dad out there knocking his son around on camera to prevent him from joining in a riot, the same issues that she had to face later, which were downplayed, because it was like, oh, that's child abuse, but that was downplayed more so than, you know, her being a great mother, right? So imagine if that was a black father doing that. It would have been like, oh, more of the same. See, they're beating their kids, and that's why that's what's wrong with the kids. The kids are being beaten by the daddies.
So let me ask you this question and bring it back to LeVar Ball. Mm-hmm. Can you compare him to LeBron James' mom for me?
Again, to me, LeVar Ball,
because you know she was everywhere. She was at all the games.
Yes.
First row.
Yes. That's no different
doing the most.
That's no different than Allen Iverson's mom.
Okay.
It was Allen Iverson's mother who reached out to John Thompson because Allen Iverson was in a bad place. Mm-hmm. He had fallen off the map, you know, but he was a great talent, but he fell off the map because of legal issues in court and prison and jail. It was his mother who reached out to John Thompson and got him with the Hoyas. And then the rest is history. I'm not saying that black women are the problem. What I'm saying is the recruiters like to divide the family by making a beeline to the mom.
Hold on. What does that sound like when they divide the family?
You already know.
Slavery. And that brings me to something
welfare.
Else. Hold on. I'm going to go all the way back. You know, Gene Upshaw was the NFL Players Union. Like, he was the head of it. And you know what he said back in 2007, I think it was, in an interview? He said, Dallas Cowboys president Tex Schramm, who said, you guys are cattle and we're the ranchers.
How about it?
And ranchers can always get more cattle.
Look at that. Because everybody wants to participate. If I get rid of you, somebody's going to step right up and take that opportunity. This is why a lot of people around the country were saying, if the 70% of the NFL population of players were to just show a sign of solidarity, everybody say, we out. Now you have a different leverage. You got different leverage.
Let me give you a little pushback. I think that would be the end of the NFL because white folks don't need no NFL. And I think that what we don't see is the consequence of blackness. I did an animated video this week. Please go to Tonetalks and check it out.
Great video.
It ain't nothing
Great
but 90
video.
seconds.
Yeah.
90 seconds. And what I really showed is that we have 20 million families. I've said 14 million before, but we got households and then we got families. So you might have more families in the household.
Right.
But we have 20 million families. Only 380,000 of those families are worth more than $1 million. Those are almost all boomers. So this mythology of all these black young Herbalife dudes running around selling, dudes selling weed and they're millionaires.
Right.
It's not real. You've built your psyche on fraud. Now, on the other side, white folks, there's 80 plus million families, 83 million families, and 15% of their race is worth them more than $1 million.
Right.
And a full million of those families are worth more than $10 million.
Right.
What we see is the consequence of that is they got a lot of money to waste because this ain't about no football or no basketball. This is about selling whoever got money some jerseys.
Right.
And we ain't got no money. So this idea that you're going to start a Negro League where just black people watch, it ain't going to fly in this America.
Right.
And I think we don't want to understand that. And we tend to think that's just defeatist, Tone. I would go to a game. Would you go to a game, buy 2 jerseys, 2 shakes, 2 hot dogs, a drink, and also leave $100 just for donation for the autistic kids?
Right.
That's what's going on behind the scenes, and you just don't know it. I'm going to take one last caller. Let's bring them in.
That's good.
Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from? Let's take the other line. Caller, what's your name and where are you calling from?
This is Maria from Seattle again. Sorry.
Hey, welcome back.
Welcome back. It must have been, service must have been good.
I heard some of the show, and the part that really stuck out to me was the NFL owner from Houston, and I read the little thing that he said. I didn't read the rest of the article. And that should just tear people to their core that he said that. And that's really what life in America for African Americans really is. We're in the age of the super slave.
Yeah, but let me say this. Like in a sense, I'm not asking a question. This is kind of like just asking with an answer. Why should it if that's what it always was? These people tackle and fall to the ground for a living. And I think in so many ways what happened is we pedestalized very, very simple professions. And we started to make that an out so that we didn't have to deal with the consequence of not owning land, not owning resources. I did a piece on land, and you can go Google my name and land, and it'll come up first. What I showed is that 6 white families, I think 6 or 7, have more rural land than all of Black America combined. Ted Turner by himself has 1/4 of all the land that black people as a race have, rural land. We live in a state of almost symbiotic relationship with white folk, but create an agency that never happened. Now, somebody might ask, how can it happen? Transformative government, reparations, demands for access, contracts, first access to jobs. Stop telling me to play basketball because I don't want to play no basketball at 30. I don't want nobody screaming. When the last time a white man screamed at you, Joe? Just came in the radio show. Zoe, you ain't on the radio yet.
No.
This is their job
Yeah.
to take those screams. And so, part of the problem with football, caller, thank you for calling in. Part of the problem with football is that essentially they don't want to take the screams, but they want to tackle. And they don't understand that's not your job. Because if you don't take the screens, we ain't buying no jerseys and we ain't showing up for the game, says the white folk.
Wow.
And so, essentially what I wanted to do is just give you guys kind of a close-up on this discussion. And in the close-up, what I'm asking is the creation of $1 million athlete an individual or a family wealth-building event? We had none other than Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant comes out.
Oh, wow.
And he says, he meant well when he said, I said invest, I did not give. Purely giving material things to your siblings and friends may appear to be the right decision. You love them. and they were always there for you growing up, so it's not only right that they should share in your success. He says, invest in their future, don't just give. Use your success, wealth, and influence to put them in the best position to realize their own dreams and find their true purpose. Problem is, Kobe, you got $200 million. And the question that happens is, did Bean invest in you? And I think in so many instances, you want him to go do something else that don't make $200 million. You want him to go do some accounting or work at the post office. And I just think that what's happening is that we don't understand we're in the era of jobless jobs. So Kobe,
Give me an example.
So Kobe wants Bean, and I'm not saying this from any knowledge, but essentially this statement is, I'll invest in buying you that Hyundai Excel so you can Uber and not have to lease your car. I'm cool. I don't want that from you, Kobe. I don't want you to buy me an Excel so I can Uber without having to lease mine from Uber. I want you just to hook me up.
Right.
Set me up. And I think in a lot of ways, we think of that as wrong. And I'm not here to put a judgment on you thinking of that as wrong, but I say that the parents invested in you when you were nothing.
How about it?
I say that the teenager needs protection from the league.
Yes.
I say that Zoe Williams that flies across the country in that suit that shines.
Yes.
Should be part of. No, I'm serious. I'm serious because when you fly across the country and show up at Auburn, that just shows an investment that not too many black people have in this country. And I think we need to see each other as a unit, see each other as a community so that nobody can take us from each other.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I just want to say I always appreciate you guys tuning in.
Yes.
Please go to tonetalks.org, subscribe and donate. Go to tonetalks.org, go to my channel, watch some of the videos, particularly watch the new video. You got to use the super chat too in the chat room. And you can donate on tonetalks.org. Please support the rest of Dash Radio shows. Zoe, can you give a plug for Jeff's show?
Oh, yeah, the Inappropriate Hour, Thursdays, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Yeah, I watched it. Jeff be on there ranting.
Going crazy.
Make sure you tune into his show. We going to keep it going. We going to be here every week. I just got a confirmation that none other than Meta World Peace will be in the building in the next couple of weeks.
Uh-oh.
We're going to keep this discussion going about black life, about American life. I want to talk about Trump's tax reforms, but I need y'all to read up on them because it ain't nothing pretty.
Wow.
He talking about cutting everything, including your hair off.
Everything. Your hair, all of it.
All of it. You going to wake up, you ain't going to have no feet. You going to be like, what happened? Trump got them. Everybody feet in the neighborhood.
They belong to Trump.
He wants you to buy the Trump socks that attach to your nubs.
Right.
No. So this is the Tone Talk Show. Please tune in next Friday. We'll be here every week. Shout out to the Angela Project. I'm going to be in Louisville talking U.S. reparations. We're going to try to bring that heat. Thank you. Tone Talks presents the reality behind the racial wealth gap. In America, we understand race as a literal foot race, where whites just got a lead based on effort, when in actuality, due to several hundred years of slavery and 100 years of Jim Crow, black people were more like the shoes whites wore down to run forward economically. The recent data from the Federal Reserve Survey of Consumer Finances tells a story that even though the media shows us young black millionaires like Steph Curry and LeBron James, without the family car, the middle black family is worth just over $4,000, while the middle white family is worth over $140,000 using the same accounting. In fact, according to the Federal Reserve data, the middle or 50th percentile black family is equivalent in wealth to the 20th percentile white family. In terms of wealth, black middle is the equivalent of white poor. The upper echelon of wealth tells us much the same story, showing that white America makes up nearly all of our nation's top 1%, with only 380,000 black families having a net worth more than even a single $1 million. All while, according to the new data, 15% of white families are worth more than $1 million, and over 1 million white American families are worth more than $10 million. The racial wealth difference isn't just a gap, it's a seismic hole that's only growing and needs policy immediately to fix it. Subscribe to learn more at tonetalks.org.